Hey everybody, it's Travis from the Berm Show. There's a brand new app called Lower22Vets for veterans and active duty military members. This app combats suicide amongst veterans by bringing veterans together. So please go check it out. Sign up is free and it's easy, and there's monthly giveaways. You can find the app on Google Play and Apple Store. So sign up now. Thank you. I guess I was surprised to get Tito when I was like, that's real life.
Yeah, I saw like when you first started the show and everything, and like the whole Huntington Beach bad boy, and that's why I had to hashtag that on my post because like that's how I remember and was even introduced to him. Like when I got stationed out in Pendleton, like we even had a guy in our unit that we called Tito, and so like it brought back just awesome memories. Just hearing you say that made me feel young again. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a trip talking to him, man. Because like, my brother's older, so he kind of got me into like watching MMA when I was a kid, and even like the first video games that came out, I think it was like on Sega Dreamcast. It's like Tito was like the man. I think it was like Tito and Frank Shamrock on that game were just like the best. So that's why I started, I guess, falling in love with him as a fighter. I was like, man, I just love ground and pound, the old school, just pick him up. Like he'd be like in full guard and just dropping elbows back in his prime. It's like
I love the celebrations afterwards and everything. That was always like so motivating and everything like that.
Yeah, I always thought that must be just like crazy feeling. Somebody thinks they're good because they got you're in their guard, but man, he just postured up and he just let it rain. But it was. Man, that was pretty surreal. Even before we started, so I was telling him a story when I was stationed up in Washington in Bremerton. I was watching him fight Ryan Bader in my barracks. I told him I was like, I had this little tiny TV that I bought at the Next for, probably like $100 or something. It was super tiny, no bigger than like a laptop screen. I was sitting there and I'm like watching it. And when he dropped, and I had all this punishment shit on. I had a shirt. I'm pretty sure I had a hat, maybe even shorts. But like he hit him with the uppercut, and then he jumped on and got him in the guillotine. I was like freaking the hell out. I was like, choke his ass out, choke his ass out. So he kind of like cracked up about that. I was like, dude, I fanboyed hardcore before.
Right.
Before we went live. I was like, holy crap, I just gotta let you know I like freaking cried when you won, because it had been so long for him. I think he was like he hadn't won a fight in like 6 years up to that point. Something crazy like that, but it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So that's been good. We're making some moves here, trying to keep busy. But I mean, I know you're doing a bunch of stuff. I was watching your July giveaway again. It's the second time I watched it, man. You guys are freaking crazy. That's one of the that's one of the funniest freaking videos.
I appreciate that, man. I struggle to do these kind of things, so I try to make it to where it's the most fun for me. And I'm never going to be able to explain a shotgun or a rifle better than a guy that actually sells them. So I might as well, like, I literally played an entire game of Tecmo Bowl while he was talking about it. And so that's what I really get a kick out of doing, is just somehow putting it in my wheelhouse. But yeah, I have a ton of fun with Ryan over there, like shooting that stuff. So that is pretty cool. But yeah, we're giving away a shotgun this month. Next month's going to be a paintball gun gift certificate to my other buddy Ryan out in Louisiana, and then I'm going to release. I have a super cool one after that. I'm checking with my buddy to see time frame of when that is going to actually go down, but it's going to be a duck hunting trip. Like, I bought a duck hunting trip. So it's going to be 2 days out in Texas. So it's going to be specific to that, those people that want to go out there and do it. But yeah, we're doing a duck hunting trip.
Holy crap. Like, how do you even put this stuff together? That's what I was thinking. I was like, how... And also with the shotgun real quick. how if somebody were to win, I was thinking California, for instance, somebody in California wins. How does that work? Because I know it's a little bit different when I'm sure it's harder with certain states, right? Then,
Since he has that FFL, he can do the transfers all online and everything like that. So, yeah, yeah, he can take care of all that stuff. So that's why I'm not really worried or concerned about doing that. I mean, obviously, if like somebody's hardcore like going on their social media, I might like rethink it. But
yeah, because I was like, damn, that'd be sick. But I wonder if California would be like, I don't know. It's just hard to do anything here. So it's, you know what I mean?
it is one of like I think like the shotgun itself. I'm not like absolutely sure on the laws, but it seems like it fits the requirements because it doesn't have a large capacity. It's not like a short little thing. So I think it meets all those kind of like little requirements. But then again, like I said, Ryan takes care of all that stuff, so I don't have to worry about that. So legally, I don't know.
Shoot.
Good intentions.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It'll be cool. Whoever wins that one, someone's gonna have a blast. That thing looks pretty rad. That's for sure. I was like, holy crap, that's like a legit ass shotgun.
Yeah, like I'm super pumped, and like the way things are going, I want to make that like a consistent July giveaway next year, and like get something even bigger and better, like, and just work out from there. So that's the plan, because I just think that that's pretty freaking awesome to do for 4th of July giveaway.
Yeah, nothing more American than handing out some shotguns, or
right.
It's like that's what we need more of, man. More patriotism like that.
So
it hell it made me laugh too, because there's a man. I think there was a podcast when Joe Rogan first moved to Texas, and Tim Kennedy gifts him a pistol or some type of handgun. He's like, yeah, you can do that in Texas. I can just give you a pistol. And I was like, damn, yeah, because you can't really do that. And I'm sure in California, unless you have those licenses where you can, move the paperwork around. But it's like, if you're that's just a friend. A friend's like, here you go, dude. Yeah, here's a gun. You can have it.
Right. Arizona's crazy like that too.
Like,
Arizona, you can do that pretty easy.
It's like, I'm jealous. I see all that stuff. I'm like, damn, in California, it's like I don't have to do like a freaking, I don't know how long the class is, but I'm sure it's probably somewhere of like $200 to do the class, to whatever it is, to get certified, be able to or buy a pistol or buy a gun in general. It's like you have to pay for everything, which kind of sucks. But
yeah, I did it was a $60. I did the concealed carry class and everything out here, and like the first thing they said was like, if I had a DD-214, then I didn't even have to take it. But I was like, it's been a while, so I feel like I should. They're like, okay, if you want to sit in the class. I'm like, yeah, it would be nice to have some things refreshed. It's been a minute since I've, had one consistently like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be like the same way. I probably would have said screw the class, but no, I don't know. My wife would have been like, no, take the class. It's been a minute. Because right. It's not like something you do every single day, walking around with a freaking handgun or something,
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's crazy.
But how have you been enjoying your Rugged Pilot coffee, man? Because, dude, that's another thing. Larry's like the newest patron for the app and everything. And dude, I got that 30 millimeter one, and it's amazing. Like, I absolutely like, dude, it's ridiculously good. And I know you bought a couple too. So
yeah, I got a big bag of espresso, the Victory one. I'm not drinking it right now. I feel kind of bad. I was like in a pinch because, like I was telling you, I was by myself last night, which is kind of leads to staying up way too late and doing things like wasting time doing nothing. So I woke up a little bit later than I wanted to today, but I was like, oh my God, I gotta get some coffee. But yeah, their espresso's been freaking good. I made a cold brew with it last week, and that was hit pretty good. because I like caramel macchiatos. I'm kind of like a fruity type drinker, I guess, with coffee when it comes to that. But man, I just pour like half espresso in there and a little bit of milk. I was like, I'm good. I'm wired after that. I was just bouncing off the walls, especially, 2 kids and stuff. You got to have that extra boost of energy.
Yeah, man. I don't know how you it's crazy to think because I only have one and she's almost 3. But to have 2 kids is like, that's nuts, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, the people have more than that even too, because I try to, she's in that phase where we're potty training, but it's still not there. And I just remember when she was a newborn and how much easier it was to change a diaper. And like, I couldn't imagine, like, as they're getting older, then you have 2 of them, just that alone. That's impressive, man.
Yeah, it's different, that's for sure. Because our son's going to be 4. Their birthdays are 10 days apart, so it's next month. It's a busy month, but he's finally got to a point where he's a little bit ambitious and starting to wipe his own butt because he's potty trained for the most part, but we've always had to go clean him up. Right. He's starting to kind of do it by himself, which is nice. Like, he's just taking it upon himself. It's like, thank you, dude. Thank you for wiping your own butt.
Like, I told my buddy that I was like, I'm like, that's the day I'm looking forward to. Once that's there, like, I feel like it's just smooth sailing. Like, really, after that, like, it can't get too much more difficult other than attitudes. But
yeah, I don't know if you heard anything about 3s. I mean, terrible 2s we heard was like a thing, but when our son turned 3, this last year has been like the wildest year of personality that we've ever had. Like, he could be really sweet. Like, we were up at my parents' house last weekend, and they have some land, some property. So he's like running around. He's saying like thank you and please and stuff. Like, what the hell? So my mom was like, "Oh, he's such a sweetheart. You guys make it seem like he's a bad kid." We're like, "What?" And then of course we get home, he's like back talking. He's back to his normal self. We're like, this freaking kid. This kid puts on the perfect show for everybody. Even his teachers. We had this a few months ago. They're doing like parent-teacher conference type deals, and we go there as preschool, and his teacher's like, "Oh yeah, he just follows all the rules. He leads by example. Like, he's so sweet to everybody. He talks to me all the time." I'm like, "What the hell? Like, this is not our son." I'm like, "Are you sure we got the right kid? You talking about the right kid? Because this is the kid that punches me in the balls and." Freaking slaps me in the face, right? Is this the same kid? Is that what we're doing right now? But it gets fun. Hopefully he picks up the wiping his butt really well, because I do not like that. I don't like going in there after he's gone to the bathroom. It's weird at this point.
Right. But
yeah, it's kids are a trip, man. Yeah, and our daughter's gonna be a year old. She's starting to get. This is a problem with having like 2 kids. I think like she's starting to like turn more into him, because she hangs out with him a lot. Like, they play a lot together. So we're like, oh crap, she's starting to get a little bit of his attitude, and it's like, man, like, damn it, she was like the sweet little baby, and now she's getting a little spunky, and I don't know. It's different with girls too. I tell people all the time, girls versus boys. I don't know. I'm like a softie with her more than him.
Right.
She's a girl, but man, she's got that attitude coming. I don't know how it's gonna impact things, especially with my wife. I was like, that's all you.
Right.
That's not me.
I told my wife I wouldn't mind another daughter. Like, it's been like, I feel overall it's not been hard dealing with too much stuff. I would imagine having a little boy would just be a lot more just, I don't know, just like, not frustrating, but just a different beast in its own way, because my daughter didn't like really cry or anything unless she wanted milk, and then that was it. But then, like, I've seen all my friends who've had little boys, and like, they're just a terror nonstop. Like, they're not bad or anything, but it's just they're the Energizer Bunny from the get-go. And my daughter's just been kind of chill, like, and just really been relaxed for the most part.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Like our daughter, I think she gets like a little bit more of me in that sense than like my wife. Like I'm pretty laid back, and my daughter's pretty chill. Like she takes a lot. You can tell she just kind of goes with the flow most of the time. Like she just kicking back. But man, our son is just like hyperactive all the time. And then like when we're up at my parents' house and he's running around and helping with the horses and stuff, like he's burning energy. Like he was out there for a couple hours, he's running around, chasing dogs. Comes in the house, he doesn't even take a nap still. He still wants to wrestle and stuff. I'm like, dude, like how? How are you alive right now? Like go take a nap for like, you should be asleep for like 2 hours after that. I go out there and I lift some hay with my dad. I'm like, crap, I'm ready to have a beer and sit on the couch. It's like, I'm done. This kid just non-stop energy all the time.
That's how I felt at the VFW yesterday. I felt like that little kid. I was working with that Korean vet, that Vietnam vet, and like it's not like we were doing anything hard, but just being in the sun, it was they painted a little bit and they sat in the shade and like just watched me do it, and I'm like, oh man, this is really fun now. So
I mean, yeah, there's instances, I guess, where you definitely have like endless energy. Like, man, yeah, I went and played basketball yesterday, and man, I was like shooting around, and I started kind of moving. I was like, damn, I can't really do it the way I used to, but mentally, I still have like that mentality. It's like I got to keep going. So I pushed through it, but man, yeah, I can't get quite to a nonstop energy. I try to, but maybe it's because I need to start doing physical activity besides wrestling around. It's like I gotta find a better hobby,
Get one of those Peloton bikes,
Shoot.
or don't get a Peloton bike. Get like a cheap bike, and then just get the little app for Peloton.
That's what I heard people do. Like you could instead of buying like the bike, I'm sure it's probably like a few $1,000s. That thing looks.
Right. I got one for $300, and I just have it on my phone, and it's the same thing.
So you're like running through the hills and everything still. Is that what it does on there? Or is that like a
that's a different one, I think. Like the Peloton one, it just looks like a fitness studio class. But they got one guy on there, Cody, that he's a trip, man. Like the dude just says the most wildest stuff in the world. And he's hilarious. Like he makes doing that bike fun. Just his whole attitude and demeanor, and like you don't realize that you're riding a Whitney Houston. And he's just bugging out, going crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, see, they should do like a David Goggins edition where he just
oh my god
be rating you the whole time, calling
that
you.
Would, and you're on there for like 50 hours straight.
It has a built-in alarm for like 2 a.m. Get your ass up.
Real fitness enthusiasts. Yeah, that would be so funny to just have him yelling at you on a big screen saying that you need to go faster.
Yeah, calling you like a pussy and all that stuff while you're running. Just berating you the whole time. Don't be a wussy, but yeah, get your ass up. Start running, wherever the hell his videos are intense. Like, I've watched every once in a while, I'll watch like a string of them. I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, either a part of me feels like I'm ready to run through a brick wall, and the other half of me is just like, I don't know what the hell's going on right now, but I'm kind of scared, dude. Like,
this started off really well and then went really south really quick.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny watching his stuff. It's motivating for sure. I could see how it is, but man, there's times where I'm just like, I don't know, dude. But I need to get some of that motivation, or what's it called? Discipline. That's what I've always heard. That's what everybody's saying now. Discipline more than motivation. If you have discipline, you just do the same things all the time, and you'll get the results you need. Because motivation, I've heard people say like it comes and goes. Like you can be motivated for mow the lawn today, and then you do it, and okay, that's you just did it, so it's over.
Being consistent. Yeah, that's one of my biggest things that I'm trying to do with setting this up now. Like I felt like that, like I had a mad rush and just threw a whole bunch of things together. But yeah, now I have a way to be consistent, and like I feel like it's not necessarily showing the results that I want right now, but it has made it mentally easier for me to just go about getting stuff done. And that's in turn made me more motivated to do it. So
it seems like it. Like you, from what I've seen, everything you've been posting, like everything you're talking about earlier, like you're making moves, man. It's happened really quick. It
I'm
seems like.
bugging the crap out of a lot of people until they accept me. You know how it is. Like, so like I'm doing, it's funny because I'm doing everything that is not in my wheelhouse. Like I'm making an app and doing all this technology stuff, and I'm doing all this networking, and I like it is a new kind of cardio to have that kind of energy and consistency to do that as networking events, man. Because talking to these people day after day, I mean, obviously you need that, but it just it's a tiring effort now. So, but yeah, like I actually not stalked. That's a horrible word, but they were doing this little Comic-Con expo up by where I live, and that's where I got the Scott DeLuzio books. Like, but like I was like hounding him down, and like I just missed him, and so I talked to the person that was in charge of it, and she talked to him, and all that stuff. And so I got, it took me a little bit of time, but I, got a whole bunch of those books to give out for giveaways. But yeah, it's just me hounding people and trying to be pleasant, I guess, about doing it.
That's like the hard part of like the networking, because kind of like you're saying, like that's all I've tried to do during the day. If I don't have anything, like I probably will do it after we get done today too, is I start messaging everybody that like if they're a veteran or if they have like a foundation or something like that, whatever it is, a business, man. I'm just over there just, hey, this is my podcast, come check it out when you come on. It is tiring, and it's funny because it's not like physically anything hard. I mean, but yeah, just the constant looking, searching, and trying to get the right people to come on or get a response. Um, the funny thing for me, like I've noticed, like I send 10 requests a day or like messages asking for people to come on. I won't hear anything, but then like maybe 6 of them will all message me back at the same time. Like, oh yeah, we want to come on. Like all in the same week. I'm like, okay, damn. Now I'm over. I got to really start picking like, okay, who do I want to really come on this week? And then next week we can figure something out for that person. Cause that's how it is. Everybody responds at the same exact time, every single time. I don't know why, but it's like, thank you guys for not responding, but then bombarding me all at once, stressing me out a little bit more because I feel bad. I hate telling somebody like, oh yeah, thank you, but actually, can we do it this week or this day? Because I feel like they're like, well, you messaged us. So that's kind of been my battle. I mean, I'm trying to get some more trying to get some more not super high profile veterans, but trying to work on getting a few more kind of with some notoriety a little bit by the same way I do with Tito, because Tito is like dropping little bombs here and there, comment here and liking stuff. And
Yeah, that's super cool, man. That's like that's ridiculously cool. Yeah, I'm still out there trying to prove to people that I'm real, because like man, I'm not gonna drop any of their names because like but I messaged this one person asking, hey, how can I help out? And their response was just they're like, how do I even know you're a real person? Like, what tangible things do you even offer? And I was like, okay, here we go again, and have to list out everything that I do. And then like, because I guess I'm almost coming off as a bot in these messages that I'm reaching out to people. And like, I have no other way of really breaking that ice other way. Anyways, so yeah, like going through and spending like 2 hours just explaining, because how many scam people there were before me saying that this is what they're going to do and they don't do it and stuff like that. So that is my most challenging part, is just, yeah, like that's why I post those videos on YouTube, because I don't want to do it, but I want people to see that I'm real.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's kind of, I thought that yesterday, actually, when I was sending some out, 'cause I'm like, hi, my name's Travis, this is my podcast. I'm like, damn, that sounds hella body, And I put the link to the website, but it's like, at the same time, I could see if somebody's just looking through their messages, they're like, okay, I feel like it's because of Military Blaze. Nobody trusts anybody. It's like, thank you, Military Blaze. Because now when you message anybody, they're like, oh crap. It's one of those type of deals where it's, just a scam artist or something like that. But
I actually talked to another guy who has a business out in California, and we started talking, and I started telling him my problem, and he's like, he brought up Military Blaze. He's like, yeah, dude. He's like, anytime I post, he's like, anything about veteran-owned business or anything like that, there's their first comment and everything. I was like, that's what I'm like, that's my obstacle I'm trying to overcome. And they did one hell of a job just mucking that up for a lot of people. So
they do. They respond like the second your post hits too. That's what freaking blows my mind. Like they and have like maybe 2 comments, 3 comments like that. It's like, holy crap, man. And it's always somebody different. Like I was looking at some of mine yesterday. I was like, it's always a different person saying promote it on Military Blaze. I'm like, damn, how many freaking fake accounts does this? I'm not sure if it's one person that's doing it or however that a bot situation works, but it's pretty impressive, I guess, in the sense that they're able to do that.
right?
Because, man, that timely response or comment is just,
dude, and like
mind blowing.
How elevated and how much did your heart race when you like started posting on Instagram and like you saw that little icon come up and you're like, man, I got a like, and then you see it and you're like, oh, son of a bitch. Damn.
That's the true. That's hella true. Like, definitely when I first started the podcast page and stuff, and I'm like, the first one, I'm like, oh damn, I have like 10 likes or whatever it was, and I look on it, it's like nobody I'm following, nobody that's following me. I'm like, oh okay, and it's just some random freaking BS just trying to screw me over or get me all excited for no reason. Like, thank you, Mr. Bot, wherever you are, Military Blaze. Freaking worst. Hate those people. It worked out for us though. I mean, I guess that's how,
like it really did. That it was, and it has grown because like Austin with Spotlock Baits, like I met him basically through that, and they gave me a whole directory of people to reach out to. So, and like I've gotten 3 or 4 from that. So I guess it's not about the whole quantity, like, because it's been amazing support from you and him doing all this stuff. So
yeah, that's what's, I've kind of done the same thing. Every time I'd see them, Military Blaze like posts for somebody, I'm like, all right, I want to start looking into that person maybe.
yeah,
and it has worked, like you said. You got this directory of all these people. I think that's how I met the lady Shannon Smith, who was the Air Force veteran. I think she was on there, and yourself. I feel like there's at least 1 or 2 more other people on there that I've messaged because of that. So it's like, hey, you guys might be blowing up my comment section, but thank you for the help at the same time.
You're feeding into that little algorithm, so that way I'm not competing with like somebody who's dancing that gets 1 million views and likes and stuff like that. So cheers.
Yeah. Because it is hard. It's really hard to find people, especially out here. I don't know what it is, but where I live, I always see like all of Army stickers and veteran stickers, but man, I swear there's like no veterans out here. There's like no veteran anything where I live. So that part of it kind of sucks. Everything's kind of done in LA or Anaheim area for me. And it's like, damn, I wish I had more like of a local grab, kind of like what you do. Cause I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in Arizona. It seems like I think a lot of ex-military actually lives in Arizona.
They I think it's highest per capita in the area of veterans and retired veterans and stuff like that. So yeah, like, and that's what I just reached out to the mayor, the newspaper up here, trying to get all this stuff set up because yeah, I want to do like a legit ribbon cutting ceremony and really throw it out there. And I mean, I live in a super small town, but that just means it's easy to get that kind of backing and support and, you know, create a huge event out of really nothing. So
that's pretty badass. You have a ribbon cutting and everything. That's
well, you know, I joined the chamber out here and it's just a nice little thing to have, you know, to really get not necessarily my demographic for the app, but like just get the reach and word out there to different people who might have a relative. So,
yeah, I mean, hopefully more people are joining the app too. I'm not sure how it's been going, but
we're good. Actually, I mean, not blowing up Facebook and Instagram, TikTok numbers, but in the 3 months that we've been around, we have over 100 users. So we're getting over one a day. And that's me doing this stuff. That guy that I reached out to in California, he actually runs a marketing thing. So I'm going to start doing like paying him to do that because I did the research and Google like tells you when the best times to post and all the hashtags. And I'm still obviously missing something. So I'm literally and the reason why I found him was because I was going through veteran-owned businesses and they have a whole listing by state of every veteran-owned business. You can go by county. So I started in Phoenix to basically make a cold calling list because at worst, somebody doesn't want to be like a featured business. But at best, that veteran still signs up for the app because they know about it now. And just started making a cold calling list, and I reached out and found this hashtag smart marketing, and it's run by an Army vet. And in my way of going to cold call him, I actually like reverse sold myself, and I was like, dude, like I need to go ahead and have this guy handle that. So because he was talking about doing stuff that I know I should be doing, I just don't know how to do it well. And then stuff that I didn't even think of, like putting my ad on a banner ad within the VA's website. So as people are reading the VA's article, on the banner ad on the side, and I'm like, I know I don't know how to go about accomplishing that, you know? And so
exactly.
He's hooking that up. And so it's fantastic. So I'm hoping that, you know, soon by the end of the year, we have about 2,500 users because that would be that's really my goal is to get it around 2,500 users by the end of the year.
I mean, it seems like it could be certainly possible. I mean, especially if you can get on the VA website like that too, that is the hardest part is marketing. I mean, for me, it's the same thing. I'm just Instagramming for the most part. Twitter doesn't seem to get too much traction for me. So I'm
thinking Twitter is just a whole bunch of bots now too, after the whole Elon Musk thing. Cause man, like it just seems like you go in and you try to follow these people and then you start reading some of their comments and you're just like, dude, like how are you getting 5,000 likes? Like not even anything crazy, but you're getting 5,000 likes for posting just gibberish. I'm literally posting, here's a free shotgun for a veteran if you want it, and nothing.
Yeah,
like nothing.
Well, I thought the same thing every time because when I post the episodes onto my website, it gets automatically shoots to Twitter. So every time I do that or upload a new video and I go check out Twitter, maybe like you're the only one that will like it or retweet it. I'm like, damn, there's nobody. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is freaking crazy. It blows my mind. Like even the one with Tito, I was like, all right, this one should really get going and only had like 6 retweets. I was like, oh, like cool. I was expecting to have hopefully a couple hundred people, you know, be like, oh, damn, you picked out. But it's hard. The marketing side of things is it's a challenge, that's for sure. I mean, I wish
that's why I did that stupid handstand video. Is because like dude, you go on Instagram and you see these freaking 30-year-old moms praising themselves for doing a handstand off of a wall. I'm like, I'm 40, got 2 spinal. This shit ain't hard, man. Like, how am I not making tens of thousands of views?
I've thought that the trendy stuff on Instagram always like trips me out because it's like, man, people are really into this right now. But I haven't done that. I'm not sure if I could do a handstand anyways. But
oh, I want to slap my wife with a tortilla shell. Have you seen that one?
What?
So
you slap your wife with what the hell is going on?
You get a mouthful of water. Somebody else gets a mouthful of water, and your goal is not to spit it out. And then you play rock, paper, scissors, and whoever wins gets to smack the other person, but it's with a tortilla shell. So it's just funny to see someone getting hit in the face with a tortilla shell, and people just like obviously laugh and they spit the water out everywhere.
Is it you're doing hard shells? Is that what it is?
No, just the like the burrito shells.
Oh man, that's like a hard one, man. You're gonna knock somebody out. Oh shit, that's crazy. I haven't seen that one. Now I'm gonna have to rabbit hole myself into a few of those and check that out. That is freaking nuts.
Yeah, like I think it's Tortilla Challenge or something like that. But yeah, like doing that stuff, like it's just crazy. You see somebody get 1 million views and stuff like that off of doing it, and I'll do it, and I get 50.
I know. I mean, people get 1 million views for a bunch of random stuff. That's what trips me out. Like, if you're going through Instagram, I don't know. I don't know if it's just easier for women, not to be mean to every woman out there, but man, you guys can get like hundreds of thousands of views for just like walking into the water. It's like, that is fucking crazy to me. It's like, that is.
I wish I had that talent.
Over here on this grind, you can't get nobody. Oh.
But no, yeah, that what I'm doing with that guy, I'm really hoping that he's able to really do what I'm unable to do, obviously, and just hit those key markets. Because yeah, that would be amazing if I to have a 15-second little video off the side of a VA like suicide article. Because I just read one the other day that it's so funny because they're talking about how being able to have a tablet or a smart device has lowered the suicide rates because more veterans are able to, make therapy meetings and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, that's exactly what I'm trying to do without even having to talk to the VA. Yeah. So like it made me feel good in the sense of like I'm on a good track with that. If that's literally what I'm trying to do is give people that ability. So
yeah, that's what's cool about your app and everything too. That's what I try to stress to people is and even from everybody I've talked to, it kind of seems to be the same kind of consensus is like it's better for veterans to kind of work together, get together, like kind of like what your app does, bring people together that maybe have gone through the same thing, or you don't necessarily need to have issues. I think that's right. A negative stigma all the time that every veteran's going through something post-traumatic.
Yeah, you don't always need the crisis line. It's not like that, but just being able to vent without, Facebook and Instagram people getting butthurt and banning you, because people will actually understand. But yeah, it's just funny because I feel like it should be an easy thing to access that, is out there.
Yeah. I mean, No, it's crazy. I was thinking about speaking of like the VA, that video you told me or you sent me, and then I ended up reposting it also. The guy in
Oh
Atlanta,
yeah, get
Georgia.
the shit kicked out of him.
So yeah, I watched because then I think the clip, the original clip you sent me didn't show. I didn't see the whole part of it. I just saw him getting like choked up against the door. But man, I watched the whole clip, and he kicks him in the face and everything. And then I know that's not like an exact representation of the VA, obviously, but it just looks bad for the VA, and I think the VA already kind of has that stigma attached to it, where a lot, at least in the veteran community, I feel like where the trust
Well,
is hard to have.
I've messaged them, and if you really look at it, it's what we expect of the VA. Dude, they never responded to me. If you go on and if you follow them on Instagram, man, nobody posts comments because they'll never respond. They never actually engage back and give updates. Like there's no nothing coming back from them.
Yeah, the VA is. I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's they don't really. I've had a few friends say they've had good experiences, but they live in smaller like communities, so I think it's a little bit easier to have a more hands-on VA in a smaller community. But like if you go to a VA in a major city, they're not going to really give a damn. I feel like that's how it was. At least I think of like San Diego when I was down there. That's how it was for me. So it's like people already don't trust the VA. That's where you get like veterans like yourself who do these apps or nonprofits where they get together. Veterans are really trying to like solve a lot of their own problems by getting together, and that's what I've stressed that to everybody I've talked to. You know, it's like the app that you have that you've made is super cool because if you're wherever area in the country you're at, shit, you could be in Alaska and you're on there, somebody else is on the app. Hey, maybe you look, hey, you want to go fishing, you want to go get a beer,
Right?
like it's there. And everybody I've talked to stresses the whole importance of having somebody talk to, another veteran, or I think when the individual said like creating your recreating your tribe or making a tribe. The
Right.
only way
Yeah.
to do that is by reaching out and joining apps like yours or whatever means they need to go to meet other people. But um, hopefully people do that.
That's the thing I do like because you can literally have any kind of interest. Like there are so many awesome organizations that go out there to try to help veterans and stuff like that, but they're very like niche type of things. Like especially after following spot lock baits and everything like that, I get a lot of fishing going on the things, and like but that's very one-sided focus. And then you got people that hunt or people that do Dungeons and Dragons, and so you got all these different things, but that can all be inclusive just on like the app, and you can find those people in your hometown. Like so we can encompass everything but still find those things that make it personal to you. Like you can go out and find somebody who, God forbid, that loves to go running, like but hey, if that's something you're into, you can find that other veteran that you didn't know lived 3 blocks away, because once you get out, you go back into normal clothing, and you can never tell unless you have that weird like middle school dance interaction again, and you're like, oh, are you a vet?
Yeah.
Like you don't walk up and do that stuff, like, so that way you don't have to go out there and be weird and awkward about it like I am. That's why I joined the VFW. I don't have to feel weird and awkward. I just get to sit with like really like cool old people and hear stories of how much their time actually did suck doing, like, because I when I was painting with them, I was telling them a couple stories, and like I had to admit, I was like, guys, I want you to know that I am in no way, shape, or form saying I'm a man whatsoever, but like we had porta-johns while I was in Iraq, and like this Korean vet and this Vietnam vet looked at me like each other, and they're like, I was like, yeah, like we had luxuries, man. And then to hear their stories and stuff like that, like it's just it makes me feel a little bit better about myself and my time.
I think that like I think that all the time when I talk to like guys in other branches, like you're in the Marines and Army dudes, and you guys are out there and like on the ground and like dealing with burn pits and stuff. I'm like, damn, maybe it wasn't that bad, Like I had it pretty good. And it's funny because my grandpa, who was in Navy, he kind of got in. I guess I remember he said when he was in, there's still some of those World War II veterans lingering around in the Navy. He's like, and those guys, you could tell. He's like, there's one guy in his division that was just hobbled, like his arm is all jacked up. He had a big limp in his leg, like he could barely walk. But everybody, when they saw his medals, officers would salute him and stuff.
Right.
Like, damn, that was like the last real Navy shit was like World War II. Man, that's like when it wasn't pleasant to be in the Navy even then, It's
no.
And I think now
the Vietnam vet I met, like, he's like, well, the first time I got cancer from Agent Orange, I'm like,
the first time.
He's like, yeah, the VA rated me at like 80%. He's like, after I got it the second time, I'm like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, then they bumped it up to 100%. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like the cool experience I had, and I actually won. I didn't win, but I got an award. Me and my buddy got an award for how much time like we spent in a burn pit. Like we, like I hear that this guy got Agent Orange cancer twice. I'm like, man, we dug down one time because after we filled this whole entire spot, and so we had a couple combat engineers come out with us and start digging a new hole. And this is when we're in Babylon, and we started digging down, and the next thing we know, we start pulling like plates and like dishes and jars and stuff. Like we hit ancient ground in Babylon, and we had like the local Iraqi mayor come out and everything. We're like, what do you want to do with this? He's like, I think we should just cover it back up and find a new place to dig. I was like, oh, great. So now I'm like, not only inhaling all this stuff, I got like biblical spirits going to come and haunt me now.
No.
So, shit. But yeah, like I couldn't just like it just make my time seem so much easier after hearing like what like these guys had to go through. It's crazy. So
yeah, I think that's, man, like that. My grandpa was like that. He was telling me last time I saw him in person, he was telling me like how it was for him, because he was kind of like in that gap between after World War II and Vietnam. So he's like in a weird time, but how different it was for him, and like how strict it was and how physically demanding it was compared to, I mean, not that it wasn't when I was in, but I mean, I felt bad. I was complaining to him. I was like, dude, I ate chicken like every freaking day on deployment. That a different type of chicken. It was like chicken patty, chicken tenders, chicken strips, chicken whatever. I was like, one side was like burgers every single day. And he was like, what? Like, he's like, yeah, cheeseburgers on deployment. I was like, I was like, I know. I was like, man, I feel like an asshole now. I'm over here talking about how rough I have. I'm eating freaking cheeseburgers and chicken patties every single day. But it's funny. I love talking to older veterans because I feel like, man, I sound like such a wuss compared
like,
to them.
even when I like, as soon as I was getting into the fleet, they were just phasing it out. Was I don't remember the little acronym that was, but it was basically like all the like the 10% that were real fuck ups that they like were doing like behavioral correction, but like having them like hit stone, like they were just phasing that out even when I was getting in. So like they even took those kind of punishments away. And so even thinking about just 10 years before when my brother was in, like, I'm like, man, dude, like you had it so much more rough than I did, because I'm sure their boot camp was a more hands-on approach from the drill instructors. Like they didn't have the Moms of America yet, where you couldn't like touch somebody hard or anything like that. Because I remember like our drill instructors would get like, it would seem like they would almost get right up to that point, but then you started knowing they're like, okay, they it can't really hit us. You know, like I remember hearing stories from my brother when he was in, and you know, just a little bit more aggressive and stuff like that. So
yeah, boot camp.
I loved boot camp. I honestly had a great time. It was fantastic. Like it was difficult and rough, but my whole entire mindset was I didn't have to think for 3 months. They'll just tell me what to do and I can just do it. And like, I just get a nice little brain vacation and, you know, learn what they want me to learn. So it was an easy thing for me. Boot camp was physically tough, mentally tough, but it was easy to do in that kind of mindset.
Yeah. Like I hear Navy boot camp now is like a cakewalk. I guess they give them like you get like a card, or you can hold up a card if you're getting like work too hard. So you have to have to give you a break. They weren't doing that when I was in. So I heard that, and they give them like iPads now or some shit like that. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Cause man, when I was in boot camp, they had divisions in boot camp where you could have women and men, but mine was all men. We were just, I forget what they actually call that, but so we had nothing but guys in ours, and we had a chief. I think it was a first class petty officer and a second class petty officer. Our chief was this little Mexican guy who was super freaking strict. Like, because they come around at chow with a cart with like brownies and stuff. And man, if you touched a freaking brownie, he would just beat your ass. Like, I think he would call it like lock and load. You get underneath the rack, you put your feet, and you just start doing sit-ups.
Oh,
like,
wow.
He would just beat us like hardcore. That was probably the best shape I've ever been in my life too. So, and he was really strict, but like we couldn't have any juices, no sodas, no cereal. I remember somebody was eating cereal one time for dinner. And he's like, "Are you a fucking kid?" He's like, "Are you?" You know, I was like, "Dang, man, that poor dude was eating a bowl of cereal," but like nothing like that. And man, hopefully somebody that was in boot camp with remembers this. There was a guy that had like peanut butter and jelly packets in his rack, and our chief found it in boot camp. Holy crap, we got our asses beat because of that guy. Like, we push-ups, like he'd have us keep the push-up position with the full water canister. So like if your belt wasn't tight enough, it'd drop in front of you, and then you got a whole canteen of water just hanging, pulling you down. And if you dropped, he'd tell you like everybody has to start all over again. But boot camp was fun. I like not in the moment probably, but when I look back at it, it's like, you know, I went from being skinny to really skinny, but probably the best shape I've ever been in my entire life. Like the mile and a half, I think it is, that we ran, I was killing it like in 6 minutes and something seconds. Like I was flying, you know. Like, now I can't do that. If I were to do a mile and a half now, it'd take me like 12 minutes. I'd be walking like half of it.
Yeah, boot camp was probably the best overall PFT that I did. The second best one, I would say, or like right on line, was we did one while we were in Fallujah, and my run time for the 3 miles, and it was 21 minutes and 3 seconds. And I swear to you, like, the only reason I think I ran that fast is because I thought I was going to get like mortared and shelled. And I had no idea why we were running a PFT like in Fallujah during like the Battle of Fallujah. They're like, this is a great time to start doing this stuff. But yeah, it was so fun though. In boot camp to get that into that kind of shape. Like, looking back at it, yeah, there were some shitty ways of getting into that shape. But I remember one time my one drill instructor, he was like the second in charge. I feel like he kind of liked me because there was a couple of times he really saved my ass from doing really horrible group activity exercise. Like he told me to pull 3 of my friends, and like I was immediately like suspicious, but he's like, no, he's like, pick 3 people you like. And I picked the scribe because he was the one in charge of fire watch, and I didn't want to, like, you know, be up in the middle of the night. And then 2 other guys, and we literally left the rifle range because we're in the middle of something, and we went back to our barracks, and he's like, I want you to count these uniforms. And it was just all of our uniforms all hanging up in the front, like everybody in the platoons. And he's like, I'll be back in 4 hours. And we're like, we just looked at each other. We're like, this is going to take like 30 seconds. Like, what the fuck's going on? Time goes by. He comes back 3-4 hours later, picks us up, drives us back to the rest of the platoon that's in the rifle range barracks, and they are just drenched in sweat, just covered. Like they were doing push-ups and dips the entire time. But
holy crap.
This guy, like, so he hooked me up in a couple of ways like that. But there was one time he got me back just absolutely brilliantly. Like, we were just about ready to graduate. We're actually practicing on the parade deck to do the whole walking around and everything. And I never knew it. I don't think anybody ever knew it, but he had a wife that was a drill instructor too at the same time. And in Parris Island, you have the boys boot camp and the girls boot camp and stuff like that. And so she's just watching him, and she has a stroller. And he calls me over, and, you do the whole snapping and, saying all the stuff you needed to say. And I still remember this though. He's like, recruit, who do you think this baby is? And like, I'm like just dumbfounded by the question. And I look at him and I'm like, drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Ospiazu's, baby. And dude, like, I think he had this plan for a while, because from that moment I said that, this lady ripped into me like harder than other guy drill instructors. And I had to start doing jumping jacks and she's like, what? You don't think I'm a person too? And then she's like, that's my kid. And like, so I had to start doing exercises for her and saying, yes, ma'am, I ma'am, and all that stuff. And then he starts telling me to do stuff. So I'm saying, yes, sir, no, sir. And like, you could just see it building to where eventually I called her sir, and he just lost it on me. And he's like, all right, Nance, start running. And like, we have these little sand pits all over in Parris Island and stuff like that. And he just took me on a nice long run that day, just visiting all the different sand pits. And like, but I feel like it was just his way of paying me back for all the other times that he saved me from other drill instructors and stuff like that. So it was super cool.
Oh, that's what's so freaking badass about the military. And obviously in the moment, shit like that sucks. Like, you can't do that in any freaking other job in the entire world, is just punish somebody like that physically, That's what's like man, they're one of the funnier stories that happened to us on deployment. So like when you cross the equator, they call them WOG day. So if you never crossed the equator, you're a WOG in the Navy, and if you've crossed it, you're a shellback. So
okay,
if you're a WOG, you get your ass basically handed to you like all day. Well, this one guy, he was from a different ship. He came on our ship. There's a few of them. He got his eyebrows shaved off, so they shaved off his eyebrows. But then I think he was a crew leader at the time, so he's on the flight deck, and you have to get permission to cross the aft end of the ship to go to the other side. I can't remember all freaking sides of the ship now, but you have to get permission because they're aircraft landing and stuff like that, so you can't just run because you can die. But I think it was at night or something like that, and he thought he got permission, so him and his team like ran across, and he went to air traffic control with the flight deck officer who's ever in charge at that time. And I guess they said like they're chewing him out. Everybody's cracking about the story because he's getting chewed out. And then the officer was like, shipmate, where the fuck are your eyebrows? It's like that's like the type of shit that happens in Navy. And Navy's a lot of like fuckery like that, like where you just fuck with people. Like our racks would lift up, and if you don't lock your rack, you can lift the person up and they're stuck because that's like a pole. That happened to me once.
Oh, shit.
Shit like that. So it's
because Does it ever have any like training videos? Like, have you ever seen anybody like nearly get like fucked up from crossing at the wrong time?
No, but all the stories, you know, like people getting decapitated and stuff like that we've heard, or I've heard.
I didn't know if they had any like videos of like this is what's really going to happen, and because I remember they scared the crap out of us, or they tried to, for like when they would do big unit like STD classes and stuff like that. Like they didn't shy away from putting big old that stuff in your face and stuff like that. I didn't know if they're like just some random jackass wasn't paying attention and literally gets his head lopped off. That would be so fucking horrific to like witness.
Never seen a video about it, but definitely heard about it happening. But yeah, those STD videos, my God, man. It's like we get it. After like the second clip, it's like we get it. We get it. All right. Like we're good.
Stop this.
Yeah. It's like, man, now I'm gonna have just nightmares. I'm not gonna be able to sleep because I'm gonna be seeing this crazy shit in my head.
I don't know if you watched The Office, but it feels like a Michael Scott like training video of just being uncomfortable with it.
It's, man, if anybody ever gets to watch one of those, I'd recommend just doing it just because it's funny as hell. Like, and that it's really gross when you think about it, but it's funny at the same time. But I mean, the crap they show you, I don't know.
Like it almost seems impossible that someone would ever let it get to the point of what they show. Like I don't understand, like walking around with a cauliflower, coming out. Like at what point you're like, maybe I should start to get this looked at. Like,
yeah, it's like at what point are you like, holy shit, like this is really happening?
I still don't believe it. Still don't believe it.
I got a crown going on down there. I'm fine. That's normal, right? That's normal. Just a crown. Like what? What the hell's going on? That's the one that I remember because that thing like scared the shit out of me. I was like, holy cow, man! I saw that. I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. You guys are freaking me out now. I'm already on a ship that's super old that has all these crazy stories and nightmarish type events that have happened on there. So it's like right now that's embedded in my mind also. That's perfect. Thank you. Because man, like our ship, so like anybody that's an ABF will, especially on the Nimitz, will probably understand this. Like we do a fuels watch, and this shit is kind of scary because it's an older ship, so you hear like all these stories from previous deployments back in like the 80s and stuff like that. But like the fuel stations are technically, I guess, underwater, so you're going down super far. I can't remember how deep it is or how many ladder wells it is. Yeah. And when you have a watch, like balls to floor or whatever, like in the middle of the night and everybody's asleep, that's like the scariest shit. Like I remember going down there and like the things will start turning and they have like 4JG boxes and you'll hear like fuck no. I don't know how many times I went down there and just signed. Oh man, I gun decked it. Yeah, people, I gun decked it. I go down there. I went down there and I signed that paper, like the log sheet, and the ladder wells, kind of like slanted like this, or like actual stairs. So I was just like, never looking back. I was like, I never looked back behind me to see if I just always thought like, man, somebody might have died on the ship. I think there was like a story somebody hung themselves in one of the pump rooms. So I was like, I'm never looking back. I go down there at that time at night. I'm going up super fast, and I'm sure a lot of people have gun decked by things like pump room 2 and pump room 3 on the ship. It's kind of sketchy at midnight, and start hearing shit turn on and nobody's down there. Or there've been times I've gone down there and somebody's working down there. That'd freak me out too. I'm like, who are you? Like, I don't even know who you are. Are you supposed to be down here? Like, are you even real? I don't know. I hear this pump room's haunted. I don't know.
You had this engineer, Job Seth Davidson. This dude was probably one of the hardest working engineers in that platoon. And he had the uncanny ability to like just pop up out of nowhere while we're in like the boat times that we deploy, because I deployed with them twice. No matter what you're doing, like if you're changing out shift at night or if you had to do something in the motor pool at night, this guy would just randomly pop up and scare the ever living shit out of all of us, because he was like, he did not have like a schedule when he was in Iraq. He was like 100% on call all the time. So you would just never see this guy. And then he would just be behind a generator that's running, and then all of a sudden pop up out of there and be like, hey guys, what's going on? Like, what? And man, that dude scared the ever living crap out of us just all the time.
See, that stuff ain't cool, man. You know, like
not yet. Walking around Babylon, like, I already feel the place is haunted. We were they had Saddam's palace was one of his palaces was right at the top of the hill. We stayed in like the slave chambers, like Motor T stayed down in like the slave chambers, and we even had an army officer kill himself in one of the porta-johns, like right next to us. So we had all that stuff going on, and then here's this dude just randomly just popping up out of nowhere in the middle of the night. Oh, man.
That stuff, man, it's like, you don't do that. Like, I'm already kind of superstitious as it is. So like that type of stuff, like, would freak me out. I would probably punch that dude. Be like, dude, you need to stop.
It was just, he happened to always be in the weirdest places, have to do something, because right at the end of our first deployment, and once again, this is how I say we're all wimps and wusses and stuff like that. Right at the end, we were starting to get AC units out in those little offshoot buildings and stuff like that. So he was working 24/7 basically, because everybody and their mother was turning it up as hard as it can work. They're blowing out generators all the time. And so finally, like, the only time to fix them were at night when everything was off. Like, because we were buying TVs, like satellite dishes, trying to get like Haji TV and stuff on. And so we were just abusing those generators. So
that's kind of like payback. He's like, no, what? Screw everybody. I want to freak them the hell out for making you work nonstop.
Huge rolls of wire from like one thing to the other, just, like looking like that, like Marley and Marley from the that Christmas Story. Like, he looked like a haunted ghost just carrying around all this shit.
Oh shit. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, man. Scary times.
Oh yeah. It's funny, man. Those are, man, I'm just thinking now what you were saying, like how you dug up even that ancient stuff. Like, man, you guys are doing some, I'm surprised you guys weren't haunted, man. You're doing some like freaking tomb raiding going on over there, you know? It's like, shit.
Yeah, I was not about that. I was all about just filling it in and putting trash in there and burning more and stuff like that. Like, I didn't want to see that stuff.
Yeah, I screw that. I mean,
because regardless of whatever you believe in, like, those are buried houses in Babylon. I'm not messing with that.
Yeah, exactly. like I said, I'm superstitious, and I remember there was like the whole, I think that's like the King Tut story, right? When those, like, those archaeologists that dug up his tomb, right, like they all died, I think. Like, see, that's the type of stuff. I think one of them, if I remember reading it right, I read this years ago. Like, he cut himself shaving and he got infected and he died. So I'm like, you know, like, that's the type of shit. Just, I could never, if I came across something old like that, I would have done the same thing. I'm like, all right, putting the dirt back on. I'm out. See you later. I'm not even touching anything.
Right. My bad. I went a little too far.
Sorry, spirits. If you're out here, don't freaking get me. Oh man. Yeah, I couldn't do it. That's what always freaked me out on the ship, man. You'd always hear like the weirdest noises and shit like that in the middle of the night. And it just, I wasn't about that stuff. That's the worst watch too, are those late watches where you get them like balls to 4 or whatever it is, balls to 6. And it's like everybody's asleep. It's just you and the other person that's up in the office keeping track of where you're at, because you have to radio in, you know, like P officer, rover, and going down pump room 2. Like, I'd make sure they knew I was going down those pump rooms. If I knew it was one of those ones that was haunted, I'm like, hey, I'm going down here. I'm like halfway down. I'm still going down. I'm still here. If I don't radio you in like 2 minutes, freaking ghost got my ass.
Right?
God, man, if I only knew how much I never checked that pump room. I know it's pump room too. I'm like 100% sure. I'd go down there. I'd see no fuel on the ground. I'm like, boom. Okay, I'm going right back up. Deuces. Probably the worst thing in the world to do, but I mean, everybody lived, you know. They can't do nothing to me now, so it's okay.
Yeah, like I remember that was for me. That was like the worst time for watch and stuff like that, because that early morning sunrise, and then it would just dip down super cold, being outside, like watching the sunrise, like that was really the worst of it for me, because I don't know why it would get to that temperature, and like the hands would start being shaken, and then, you know, back then it was literally, I would just chain smoke to try to do something to keep warm, then throw in a dip, and then just keep on rinse and repeat. But yeah, I did not like that. And then if you got the middle watches, like, dude, if you couldn't go back to sleep, you were fucked. Then you're just laying there for 4 hours doing nothing. So
yeah, the watches, the timing of all those are important. Like, if you get like the last watch when you're on duty on the Navy, it kind of sucks because it's like you don't really get to sleep too much, and then you're awake when the work day kind of starts, and now you got to go through the whole work day again. It's like, yeah, that part kind of blows. Because like in the Navy duty, you're on the ship for 24 hours basically, even in port. Like if you go to port and it's your duty, I forget what they call them, but it's like a group 1 or group 2, whatever. It's your duty day. That whole entire part of the ship, that group 2, whatever rate they're in, has to stay on the ship for 24 hours. That shit sucks, man. Like, I for some reason always seem to have duty on 4th of July also, which always.
I always I always bought or got paid for duty. I would take all the holidays, Christmas, New Year's. People would pay so much money. I'm like, cool, because I didn't have a family at the time. You know, I was like, I was all the way out in California. I wasn't going to buy a plane ticket back home. That was just a waste of money. So yeah, I loved holidays. Holidays were a great way to make a little extra money. That and MCIs, doing all my buddies' MCIs and getting them promoted to like staff sergeant and shit.
Oh shit! But we had a guy on deployment. God, I don't think I did laundry the whole time on deployment. He would do my laundry for me. He'd, however much, I can't remember how much, maybe $10 to do laundry. But he'd go in our berthing, and he would just ask. He was actually part of our division, but they had him like TAD to the mess decks. So he's working in the mess deck. So he had all this downtime. He's like, I'll do you guys' laundry. Because you have to sign in to do laundry too. And it's hard to find time when you work on the flight deck, because you're working like 12, 16-hour days, somewhere along those lines. So it's like, man, he had all this downtime. I don't know how much money he was making, but I'm sure he racked in some pretty serious dough doing that.
Right.
Like, I'm kind of jealous. It was smarter. I wish I had time to do it, but just never really had time. It's like, shit.
Well, the MCIs were really easy because they were still bubble sheets. I don't know about them now, but they were all bubble sheet fill-ins, and there was only like 2, maybe 3 versions of it. And so all I did was just take one bubble sheet and punch out all the holes, and I just made little just master things and just charge $20, $25 for like a lance corporal to a corporal, charge like $50 for a corporal to a sergeant, charge $75 for a sergeant to staff, and then just have all these other things filled out and everything like that.
Oh shit, that's awesome. The crap you could do, like the crap you could do in the military, just makes me laugh. Like, I love hearing crazy stories because I don't know, like, it's so strict, but at the same time, you can do so many just.
I got away with a 6-foot snake tank in the barracks.
A what?
I got a red tail boa, and before my first deployment, I had it. It was small, and so I had it in a small tank in my wall locker, so you couldn't see it. And I put like black sheets around because the heat lamp was on, and like that would shine through. But I taped black towels on the inside so you couldn't see it. Came back a lot bigger, and I had just money to spend. Got into my new barracks room, and I went and I bought a 6-foot long like vision tank, I think it was called. And so it was plastic on all the sides, but a nice huge glass front, and just had that sitting in the barracks room. Just,
What the hell, man?
yeah, I got away with that too because they come in every. I think field day nights were every Thursday, and then they would come and check every Friday, and it was clean, and I have no idea how I got away with it, but yeah, I just had a giant snake tank in the barracks for the longest time.
That's pretty badass, though. That's freaking cool, man. I used to do a bunch of like skating. That's what we'd call it. Like I was pretty good at skating. Like you know, like I became a professional skater at one point. Like in the mornings, they do cleaning stations on the ship. Man, I'd go into like the restrooms and act like I was cleaning like the bathrooms, and I'd just sit on the toilet and take a nap. I'd just sit there and crash out, and the bell goes off, like cleaning stations is done, and just get up and walk out, go smoke pit, freaking. I got pretty good at that, it's every once in a while you'd get busted. They're like, hey, like, what are you doing in here? I'm like, oh.
Right. Those are the scariest times, man. Those are the scariest times when you're just fucking off and they come out of nowhere. Dude, I got caught one time by my staff sergeant. We were in Iraq. I was done doing what I needed to do, but I mean, I could have been hanging out with the rest of Motor T, but we had the armory literally inside of our motor pool. So I went to go hang out with those guys because they had it hooked up. They were in Connex boxes, nice, cool air conditioning. There was only 3 of them total. So like there was space. They were watching TV and movies and stuff like that. I go over there one day and I'm literally there for like 2 hours. Not doing a damn thing, but just sitting on one of those pop-up chairs. And my staff sergeant comes in and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting those 50 cals mounted, and I just wanted to cross-check to make sure the serial number staff sergeant were right. And like, he had no other response. He's like, well, fucking get it done and come on back. I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, I was gone for a long-ass time. I thought I was seriously like screwed, and I just came up with that one out of the back of my ass. And yeah, those were fun times though.
Yeah, I've been I got busted a few times. One of the main times I can remember, so at this point I was working in the fuels lab, and there was like 3 of us. We had like three during the day and 3 at night, and I fell asleep. Like, that's one thing I could do. I don't know about yourself, but man, the military, I can sleep anywhere now. Like, I could probably sleep in this chair. Well, that's kind of what the story is. I slept in like a desk chair. I had my jacket, I wrapped it around me, and my legs up and everything with my boots on. I was curled up in a chair like this, asleep. And I think it was during cleaning stations. And I think he was still a first class petty officer at the time. Devlin, I think it was his name, Dublin. He came in and he just ripped me. He just tore me apart. He's like, why are you asleep? It's clean stations. You're supposed to be doing all the stuff down there in the pump room or the fuel station and shining the brass. And oh, fuck. And so I had to go into the flight deck office, where he worked. And he was like really, I think anybody that I was in the Navy with will know this. Like, he was really strict, but it's kind of like almost overly strict to a point where it's kind of funny. But he had like little boot marks on the floor in front of his desk, like if you're standing at attention. So the feet, like this. So you'd have to stand there, put your feet on there at attention, and he would just chew you out. And he chewed me out for sleeping during cleaning stations. I was like, I remember like when I got back and I was talking to some of the guys, I'm like, of all the things that I could get in trouble for and like getting yelled at for, it's fucking sleeping. Like, holy crap. Thank God this guy's not following me around during fuels watch, because man.
You would know that log sheet is fudged.
It's like, damn, dude, you were down there. How fast did you get down there? It's like, oh, like you start making up times too. I know, man, this looks bad, but I know a lot of people have done this. Like you'd go down there and say it's like actually 2 a.m, but you're like, okay, I got to make it seem like I'm putting a good amount of time down here. You put like you got there like 5 minutes earlier. So when you get to the next part of your watch, it's like that time gap is a little bit longer. So it's like, oh, you're not just going down there, running out and signing somewhere else, running out and going somewhere else.
That's thinking.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy the shit you learn to avoid work.
It's a hard thing to do to avoid work that well.
Because you're like productive, you're being productive, and you're not working. It's a trait that you build up over time. Like you definitely have to master it. It's not like I learned that shit myself. I definitely learned it from somebody.
We had a guy that his nickname was Skate Taylor. And this dude was selling old Humvee tires to the Kuwaitis on the side. Nice. So like all of our bald Humvee tires that we were just trashing, he was taking those out and selling those to the Kuwaitis down there when we were there.
Shit.
Like the work that took to avoid his actual job, that's impressive. Like, so.
Yeah, that's insane. What happens if you get busted doing that though? Like what?
I mean, we had another guy that was on his way to do shady stuff, and he literally got busted down while we were in Kuwait for walking around with a pair of bolt cutters. Like, there's that saying, there's only one thief in the Marine Corps. Everybody else is just trying to get their shit back.
No, I haven't heard that. That's new.
Oh, so that's what we used to say. There's only one thief in the Marine Corps. Everybody's just trying to get their shit back, And so I can't remember what other unit in our group it was, but I think it was 9th Comm. They stole some shit from us. And so he went on a night mission, and he was literally on his way to go get it back, but he got caught beforehand. Oh. And so, like, this dude, he probably could have been like a staff sergeant in 4 years. Like, that's how well he knew his job. That's how good he was. But his personal decision making was horrendous. Like, a couple DUIs, like stuff like carrying. But at the same time, he was the guy that upper people relied on getting that stuff done. So it was kind of like a double-edged sword in that manner too. So like it kind of sucked to see him get that, but he never was really he never like let it actually affect him though. Like he just went. He's like, yeah, I did it. Just took it like a man. Like he never snitched on anybody for anything. Like we used to sneak, like after his second DUI, we would sneak him off base to go to the bars and stuff like that because he was on barracks restriction. And then we would just sneak out and go to Temecula and stuff like that. We'd go a little bit further than Carlsbad, So, but yeah, like when he would get caught, he would just go, yeah, that was me. And then he would go from Lance Corporal to PFC to Lance Corporal to Lance Corporal, like just up and down the first 4 ranks like a whole bunch of times. Because he was shit hot knowing his job. Like he could do anything both on the operator or mechanical side of Motor T. Because that's what they had to do after he got his DUI. He couldn't drive, obviously. So they put him with the mechanics, and he started outperforming most of the mechanics.
See, and I think a lot of people, that's like, there's people like that even in civilian world where they're hella good. They just know their shit. So it's like, that's hard to do. Like if they're, maybe that's why he even felt like, hey, I can get away with doing shit, whatever. Because he knows his worth to the higher ups. And I see that even sometimes at work. There's people that like push the envelope, but they also, I mean, they're the one that your manager or the boss relies on. And like, get the message across or get the job done. But it's like, hey, you got to take the good with the bad. It kind of reminds me like a Dennis Rodman type character. It's like hella good at what you do, but man, you're fucking crazy at the same time.
Right.
But you got to I'll put up with the crazy, knowing that, hey, when it's time to show up and put out, like you're going to be there.
Yeah, I think like all the times that Rodman got fined, it was never like he was delinquent. He was like, cool, yep, there it is.
Yeah.
I'll
get 20 rebounds the next
game. Right. Dude, it was great. Like I don't follow basketball that much anymore, but I do remember like the Jordan and like Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, all like back in the days and stuff like that. Like people aren't getting 20 plus rebounds more, are they? Like, are there anybody doing that consistently like he was, like day in and day out?
Not that I know of. I don't follow basketball that closely anymore either. Like the last few years, I've kind of kicked it to the curb. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to watch. For me, it's hard to watch. But
what got me was when they went to the bubble is when I really stopped watching. Like when they did that whole playoff in the bubble and they started bitching about everything and they were gone for like, they're like, it's been 3 weeks since I've seen my family. I'm like, dude, you got paid millions of dollars. Suck it the fuck up, Buttercup. Like, if you're going to be honest, pretty much I'm going to bet half of you are cheating on your families anyways. So it's not like you're really home. Like you're staying in a 5-star hotel accommodation. You're getting people like admitting that they're getting just ridiculously high throughout the whole entire thing. You're playing video games when you're not playing an actual game. You're literally playing a game. And you guys have like you said bad things to me. I'm going to get you kicked out of the game. Like LeBron, man, I used to love LeBron, but that dude got soft real quick. Like there's some things like that should not have been said, but dude, he is like not that tough of a person, like mentally, I think now. Like stuff like Russell Westbrook, I think, was the one that was complaining after like 21 days that, this is hurting me. Like, dude, I've had how many friends like be in a situation where it's 9 months since they've seen their family, let alone have kids while they're out on deployment. Like, dude, and you got paid on what, average $250,000 for a game that lasts 48 minutes?
Exactly. I think, I don't know, because I've seen, like, I've heard people like that go to bat for professional athletes, like, oh, it's tough, and all that stuff. But I thought the same thing during that whole bubble thing. Like, there's some guys that seem like they're like whatever. I think that some people were like fishing the past time. I think they're like a pond or a lake or something. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But like, don't bitch about it. Holy crap, man! Like,
dude, I don't remember who it was. One dude made me so happy though. I don't think it was DeAndre Ayton, but some dude was hustling like coffee during that whole entire time.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler, that's who it was. Like that dude was legit cool. Like he took it. He's like, okay, cool. Let me run with it. Like, how awesome was that?
He had like a deployment mindset. When I heard that too, I was like, damn, he's doing something you see like on the ship. Somebody's like, I'll get you guys coffee. It's $5 or $10. I'll go make it, bring it back to you. It's like, damn, that
$5 for a Newport cigarette,
Yeah. Like, hey, I'll fly, you buy? Hell yeah. I heard that. I was like, that's the most deployment-esque freaking story I've heard this whole time in the bubble. I was like, that dude is, obviously he's a multimillionaire already, but it's like, damn, he's still out there grinding for fucking $20 a coffee.
And look at how that keeps his mind active to where he's not the one complaining. He's like, cool, I gotta make more.
Yeah. Because like you said, though, like
coffee business after that?
Did he? He probably did. He probably, hey, why not? Or at least like co-found one or something like that. So
something like that, I thought.
Yeah, but yeah, it's true. When I heard a lot of those guys complaining and stuff, I thought the same thing, like you were saying. Like, man, I remember like my flight back to San Diego, I took leave right before deployment. It's like, man, that's a different type of level of like deuces, you know. Like, I think it was my mom, my sister, and my niece there. It's like it hurt. It hits different than okay, I'm gonna be at a 5-star with Michelin star chefs probably, and I can go fish. I can go play video games. I mean, you can kind of
FaceTime
stuff in a movie,
whenever,
but
FaceTime whenever you want. Get on the internet whenever you want. Like
yeah,
I remember the lines and signing up to make sure that you had a spot from like 2 a.m. to 2:15 a.m. to get on the internet. Like, and now like they're a couple states away. That's it.
yeah. And then I think of even our deployment, like getting mail was huge, and then but they use a helicopter and they airdrop them from the supply ship onto the carrier, and sometimes those would topple over. So it's like, damn, whatever was on there, that's gone. And poor. I feel sorry for who's ever.
And that's crazy because like that just made me think of one of my biggest it's a completely irrational fear because it's never going to happen. But like, how many times has a cargo ship from China tipped over and those Connex boxes filled with stuff just dropped to the ocean? Like, how many times? And this is where my sick mind goes. Like, do you think like there were human trafficking, like smugglers in the, like I think about that stuff. I'm like, dude, what a shitty way to go. Like, it sucks hearing about your mail. Like, dude, imagine you just get toppled over. You're in a ship and then you're just sinking.
Yeah, like that's what always like freaks me out with like Pearl Harbor. Was it the USS Arizona where dudes are like trapped in there and like that? Like I haven't watched the movie.
That's a whole nother level of fear, man. Like that's a whole nother level of fear.
Like I've never watched the actual full movie, but I've watched the beginning parts of it, or the actual attack part. And I was actually watching it just maybe like a few weeks ago. I saw it was on TV, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch it. But I was watching that part, and man, like they show the guys in there, and they're like, all right, one guy's like, everybody hold your breath, and it's like, dude, that. Like there's parts where the guy's hands are coming out of the freaking, what do you call it? I can't even think right now.
But that's again why I said like my deployment was nothing like compared to that. Like I think about, dude, we had hot chow all the time. We had MREs that we could have at any time of the day. They might not have been tasty, but like it really, dude, you got actual, like we started off digging our own bathrooms, but we had porta johns after a while. But like, dude, just imagining like being like, okay, hold your breath. Like, dude, like
embracing death like that. Like there's nothing you can do in that sense, like that. That's the part that, like, even when I think about submarines, like I've only seen one. I've never been on one, but I've seen one when I was up in Bremerton, Washington. There was one I was by our ship when we were dry docked. It's like, man, F being on that, because if one little hole in that thing, you're like, you can't swim out. You're done. You're dead.
My buddy just posted on Instagram. He lives in Washington, and it's not like a submarine, but it's like one of those like underwater vessels. And I'm like, dude, do you actually get in that thing? He's like, yeah, I go out and test them. I'm like, you have balls, man. Like balls. Remember not too long ago, I don't want to be completely incorrect, but I think it was like an AAV fell off of something, and like you had those 8 or 9 Marines that and a corpsman that freaking like just sank. Like,
yeah,
dude, God almighty, is that just horrific?
Drowning is not the way I'd want to go.
That's why I don't go past my knees in the ocean, because man, there is in the ocean that is not meant to be in this world. Like there's not one good movie about the ocean. Like Finding Nemo is a horrible, horrible movie. Like think about it. You start off, mom gets killed. You got you get a fin that's all messed up. Then you get kidnapped. Then you get terrorized by a little girl. You're getting stung by jellyfish. You get sharks trying to eat you. Like that movie is just nothing but a terror ride.
Never thought of it from that point of view before. Yeah, that's making me think of all these different movies, like Disney ones, even like Little Mermaids. Kind of, I guess you could put in that
Right? Like, there's nothing good that comes from the ocean.
This
No.
evil octopus that's like trying to fucking take over the ocean, basically.
That's why, like, I'm actually trying to build a pond on our land because we got a big enough space to where we're going to build a pond. Because, dude, even I watched that Seaspiracy on Netflix. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but man, dude, like, you think it's going in one direction, but that documentary takes some hard left turns, and like they're showing like even these like salmon hatcheries that are, like they have out in the ocean and stuff. Dude, they have like these viruses that are like some kind of like parasites that turn them, they call them like zombie fish. And so it's literally like you see like the skeleton of the fish head and like the body's just moving around. And that's just the stuff that we eat. Like there's nothing in the water that is good. Nothing.
What
Nothing
the
in the
hell?
water.
What's
Yeah, because okay, so the Seaspiracy starts with like, you know how everybody got really, really bent out of shape because of plastic straws and turtles going up like sea turtles' nose. They break it down to where like normal human pollution is like a point of a percentage of what's wrong. But like all the fishing cargo nets, that's the stuff like that makes up the big, huge trash island. It's not whatsoever like equivalent, like as far as human population pollution and like the fishing vessels that are just absolutely because they cut the lines and stuff like that. But then it makes it turn into like how like these people in Thailand are just getting shoved off boats in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, dude, it's a wild ride.
What the hell?
It was a wild watch.
I wrote it down. I'm gonna watch that Seaspiracy. That sounds
Like, dude, that's why I'm building like my own little pond and having that in the back here because that there's nothing good in the water. There's nothing good.
yeah. I mean, and I'm like, even though I was in the Navy, I'm like actually afraid of the ocean. Like I really am. I get petrified of the ocean. But like we were just in Coronado. That's where I was stationed. But we went a couple weeks ago, or 2 weekends ago, I think now. But I go out pretty far because I like to body surf. But this last time I went, there was a point where I was like looking around, the only one out there. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back in because I mean, there's sharks and shit, jellyfish especially in that part of San Diego. So I'm like, oh crap, and you can't see anything. The California water is so freaking murky. The Pacific Ocean is like it's just gray. So now I was like kind of nervous. After a while, I was waiting for a wave, and I kept kind of getting out a little bit further, trying to catch a good one. And I finally got one. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm not going back out there. And that was like neck high, maybe close to.
Yeah,
But
see,
after that, it's like kind of the same boat, you know. I don't.
I'm so bad with the water. When me and my wife were like first starting dating, like a couple years into dating, we drove down from La Mirada where she lived and went to San Diego. And we actually stopped in La Jolla to rent kayaks. About 30 seconds in a kayak, man, I was over it. I was done. I was sick. I didn't like anything about it. And like, I swear this was not on purpose, but like, we're following this kayaking tour, little group and everything. And they take us through the cave. And by this time, I'm spinning so much. I don't even know what's going on, but I ended up ramming us into the cave. Like, I smashed, she like bounced her head off of the cave. Like, she didn't bleed or anything, but like, I just couldn't control where we were going. At one point I was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm just going to get out and hold on to like the side of the kayak because I just the water just does something to me, man. I don't know what it is. It's just like we spent maybe 15 minutes out total and I'm like, I'm done. Like, this isn't happening.
Yeah, see, I don't think I'd ever kayak in the ocean or like those paddle things where people stand up on them. I forget what you call those.
That just seems like unnecessary exercise.
Yeah, well, I just saw the video. God, I think it was yesterday. So somebody was on something like that. Like, what do they call those? I don't know what they call those things.
Paddleboards?
Is that what it is? Just a paddleboard, right? But
Paddleboard.
he was standing up and he's doing it, and there's a turtle that was being like attacked by a shark, some type of shark. and it's like happening right underneath them. They're like spinning, it's going around them, and the turtle goes underneath them, and the shark hits him and tips him over. I'm like, nope. And that's the type of stuff I think of. I'm like, I don't care if the shark if it's not going to take a bite of you or anything. I just do not trust the ocean at all. And that's crazy because I was in the Navy, but it's like I just don't trust the freaking ocean. Honest to God. And I watched, like, even on our deployment, there was one part where we had a sea day where everybody can jump out of the hangar bay and go swimming, but they had everybody mounted on the 50 cals. I'm like, nope, I didn't sign up for that. I was like, I am not jumping out in the middle of the freaking damn Pacific Ocean, not knowing, you know what I mean? Like, have you guys ever watched Shark Week? These sharks jump out of the water. They come up from underneath you.
What? No, there is stuff in there. It's so vast. Like what they said, we've only like seen like 10% of it. Like
Something like that.
Of the horrific stuff like that. I think it's the anglerfish with the light in front of it. Like which was also in Finding Nemo.
Oh, it is.
Finding Nemo is a horrific. Like I would rather Liana watch Goodfellas with me over Finding Nemo.
Hey, Goodfellas is pretty realistic. Well, it's a true story. So teaches you not to snitch. That's what kind of teaches.
Yeah.
Oh man, I never thought that about Finding Nemo though. That's like totally changed my whole perspective of that entire movie. Damn. I wonder if his fin was jacked up now because of like pollution in the water. Now I'm like thinking like deep into it. Like, did he have a?
See, it comes back to Seaspiracy. Some turtle had a freaking straw up his nose, and that's why Nemo had a small fin.
Yeah, and then I don't know. This was. Have you ever watched that stupid Tic Tac video off the Nimitz? It was on my ship too, like the Nimitz back in like '98. The whole alien. I know this is like a weird term, but the alien UFO ship that they said they were like tracking, like pilots in the Nimitz.
No,
I think this happened in '98. It was definitely before I was on the ship. But so they're credible pilots are saying that they were like this like aircraft came out of nowhere and they're like tracking it. It's doing all these weird maneuvers and it just drops straight into the ocean. I don't think it makes a splash or anything. So I don't know. I'm not like I'm not going to get into it because I'm not like, I don't know what to think about that stuff quite yet. But I was like, damn, that is fucking wild, man. I was like, I mean, I didn't know that before I got on my ship. I watched it. I think it just recently came to light, like the last 2 years, that video, because it was classified. But
right.
I was like, holy crap, that's makes me think more about the ocean. Like I was like, shit, I was out on that thing. I was on that ship. I was out in the ocean. That's like you said, we only know like 10% of the ocean. So like, fuck, we know about. I think they say more about space than
something like that.
The ocean, which is kind of alarming since we're basically living on water. Everything, all the land masses are floating on water. So.
Right. And see, that's why I don't really like scientists. And I know that's a weird little segue, but like, dude, like, how do we actually know what's in the middle of the earth? Like, we've only gone down, I think, like, the furthest we've gone down is 5 miles. And so, like, I remember getting taught growing up that it's just like molten lava in the middle of the earth's core. And like, how the hell do you guys make that shit up and just pass it off? You don't know. Yeah. Like, it could just be some giant fish ready to just eat us at any moment. Like, he's just playing with us right now.
Yeah, like, no, what freaking place was it? I actually read this. I was reading this last night. This is what I do when I'm by myself. I get like in these rabbit holes. I start watching the stupidest shit. I was watching something. I think it was on YouTube. It was like I think it was Antarctica, where they dug into like an iceberg or something.
Yeah.
And they had found like living organisms down there. I'm like, dude, get the. And I was like, all right, this is some freaking creepy shit now. Like now we're starting to get to like Alien versus Predator type movie. If you've ever seen that, have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Like the pyramid and that they uncover that's frozen. I'm like, okay, starting to freak me out. Now we're finding life forms that are like millions or billions of years old and living under this thousands of layers of ice. Like that's freaky as hell, man. I don't mess with that stuff. Like cover it back up. Don't. Whatever in there, let it stay down there. Just I'm good.
So, dude, I don't know if you ever had a chance to get out to Texas, but there's a city out there, Fredericksburg, and I know you keep on saying that you're on the Nimitz. Like they have, like that's his actual, like they have a whole museum dedicated to him out there in it. It's a really cool place. Like if you ever get a chance to check that out, like it's the Nimitz Museum. It's pretty cool, and it's in a little tiny German town. So.
Yeah, if I ever get a chance to go back. I lived in Texas my last year of high school. My parents moved from California my senior year of high school to Texas. Yeah. Yeah. So you imagine how fun that was.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't that bad because it was like a weird segue too. But Texas parents, I don't know what it is, but like in California, I'd have to sneak out all the time. My friends and I always snuck out in high school to go party and do whatever. But man, Texas, I remember the first one I went to. This guy, we're driving his truck. We get there and I got completely hammered. This story's, I'm not going to go into detail, but like the parents. There's like a mom outside with a fish bowl or a bowl or something. She like collecting keys. And I remember she's like, "Oh, there's like beer in the house and the liquor's by the fire pit or whatever." And I was like,
okay. So where I grew up, that there was stripper cuts where they're just minding out, the land, and they made a pond behind this one lady and guy's house, and that's where we would all go because it was just huge nothing. And we would park, and it was literally throw your keys in the bowl, and that's it. It was even like, it was about a quarter mile from their house to a restaurant, and the mom and dad would literally like not do all night food runs, but like they'll take a huge order and bring it out as long as we were just all just sitting by the pond and everything, and we just pitched tents all over the place back there, and we would get just annihilated because I don't know about this, but in Pennsylvania you can't buy alcohol at like grocery stores or gas station or anything like that. You have to go to a beer distributor to get beer, and you have to go to a different store completely to get liquor. And I've looked this old since I was about 16. And so I would make all the beer runs back in the day. And I was pretty smart about it. I put a lot of pre-planning into it. And I would take the cool aunt with me and have her go to the cashier, like checkout stand with me. But I'm carrying the beer and everything like that. I'm paying with the card. But I did that 4 or 5 times till I saw the regular person, and then I just ballsed it in one day and just got like, we would get natty ice because it was $4.99 for like the big huge cube. Yeah. And so I started right there, man. And so I would leave school during my study hall and drive to the store, because in my head I'm like, they're not going to think a high school kid is coming out midday at 11 a.m. to buy beer. And so, yeah, I put a lot.
That's some thinking right there. That's like, because usually if you're going to do it and you're underage, you're going to probably do it at night, like, oh, we're going to a party. It's 8 o'clock. Let me grab a case of beer. But yeah, 11 in the morning, that's some adult shit. That's shit I do now.
Right. The other thing we would do is like, because there was that main one, but then we couldn't do it more than a couple of times, and we had to really spread it out because it was almost like there was a mini beer distributor closer to where we lived, but it was literally like a house that they just sold beer out of. Like that's what it looked like. And we couldn't get away with that because of how small our town was. You could just see us. So like, this is a complete dick move now, thinking about it now, but we would throw like $30, $40 at the guy, grab a couple cases and run out. So like in our head, we're like, we're not stealing beer. We're just overpaying and then running away. So,
I mean, that's not bad. I never even thought about that. I remember the first time I tried buying beer, man, because I was kind of the same way. I had like facial hair at like a really young age. I think I started growing like a mustache and beard like at 11 or 12. So I was like, I've always kind of looked older. I think now I finally reached the point where I look my age, but man, I always looked like when I was like 15, 16, 17, like I could have been like, 21, 22, floating around there. Remember the first time I tried doing it, I got shut down hardcore. I was so embarrassed. I was like, fuck. But I did the night run, it was, we were going to like a park or something. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll go try, because I looked older, had a beard. It's like, all right, I'll go in there, and I put the case on there, probably like Bud Light, something like that, And yeah, I mean, it wasn't like was it freaking, what's that movie? I wasn't like fuck, what's that guy's name? I can't even think right now. Huh?
McLovin from
Yeah, I wasn't as smooth as McLovin, I was, he, as nervous as he was, I wasn't that nervous, but I had nothing to like cover my ass, but like, oh yeah, I'm actually 21. But I've had some I got lucky quite a bit when I was younger, especially in high school. Like my brother, because he was older, he's 6 years older. So when I got out of high school, I stayed with him for the summer before I joined or went to boot camp. And man, this was like one of the craziest things I ever got to do. It was my birthday. I was turning 17 or 18. I was turning 18. And one of his roommates was a DJ, and they all lived together. There's like I think there's 3 or 4 of them living in this house. I was staying there, and yeah, I walked up, and the bouncer, he's just shaking everybody's hand. I'm like, fuck, I'm 18 years old. I'm freaking I'm kind of like nervous a little bit. I had a mohawk also. And I go up, but he just shook my hand. I was like, holy crap. That was like my first, I mean, it was a club too. It wasn't like a bar. They had, his friend was DJing. It was crazy. And when I got stationed in San Diego, my brother actually gave me his driver's license. It was expired, but it worked for me. I got into so many bars. There was only one time it didn't work for me. And the guy was pretty cool. The bouncer let me keep the ID too. He's like, oh, no, you can keep it. Because I think there's some people fighting outside. And I was like, hey, get the hell out of the line. I was like, just get the fuck out of the line. I'm trying to get in. And he's like, my brother looks nothing like me too. So I don't know how this worked so many times, but it did until that point.
There was only one time that I've actually didn't get it done, when it was actually funny, because I was in college, and so I was even older than when I was buying it in high school and stuff like that. And so like I could go to the bars, and you can buy like a 6-pack and go and stuff like that, because they're really like podunky type of bars, like people missing teeth as your bartender type of people. And so I go with the football team and go there, and like they're like I'm with running like 19, 20-year-old little running backs, and like they look like little people, like they don't look like adults, and they're getting served, and like the guy's like, I want to see your ID, and I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? This is like the only time I've ever been asked for that in my entire life. And like I did the whole typical, oh, I don't have it on me, and I was just going to be the DD tonight for these guys. And he's like, oh, okay, then I'll let you in. And I'm like, fuck. Like the one time, and like the countless times beforehand when I was in high school, just easily getting it. And it's not like we went to any sort of like fine establishment. Like it was a junky little bar. It was just god awful, like completely dark. It just reeked of cigarettes and everything. And like, yeah, I get singled out. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's funny. It's crazy how that stuff works. Like when we were stationed in San Diego, there was this, was it called Fred's Mexican Cafe downtown San Diego. And it was like after, I want to say like 7 or 8 o'clock, that's when they'd start IDing people to come in. So like what we did, my friends and I, we got there early, and we ate dinner, and we just hung out in there the whole time.
That's smart. That's thinking.
Right? That's the shit you think of when you're eager to get drunk and you're like 18 years old. You just want to party. You think of some crazy. You get creative. You really do. But it worked out really well. Like and then your confidence level is super high, because now okay, there's a bouncer. He's checking everybody's ID. So the guy at the bar is going to assume, hey, this guy came in just recently. He's 21, so we do that. The crazy thing is, like that whole night ultimately led to me meeting my wife in a weird roundabout way, but I always tell her, like, man, we got pretty lucky going to that stupid restaurant and hanging out underage and just waiting, because we met these girls that were going to SDSU at the time, and then we became friends with them. And long story, eventually met my wife through them. But it's crazy, just like how creative you can get when you really want to get hammered. Yeah. I was thinking like stoners do the same thing. Like stoners they create some crazy shit. Like,
right?
Like, damn, only a stoner could really think of like a soda can that opens up and you could stash stuff and close it. It looks like a Coke can and you can still drink from it. It's like, that's no sober person's thinking of that. I would never think, oh man, let me help a stoner out. A stoner was sitting there one day like, dude, I got to like figure out how to like get through security with this.
Well, they should have helped Brittany Griner then.
Oh Lord, man. You know what? I don't know. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's just weed," but those are people that have never left the country.
Regardless of what it is, man, you should have known. Like, you can't be playing that game. Like, you should have known so much. How much money? Once again, it goes back to how much money. You couldn't have left a gram of your concentrate, thrown it away. Bro, like you're looking at most paying $40. Like so I don't know why that $40 meant that much to her to just not be like, this is a dumb idea.
It's like, do you really need it that bad at that point? That's what I think. Like,
right? Like, it's cool. Like, throw it away and but no, you're gonna try and be an American in Russia while all this crap is going on and think you're not gonna get singled out.
Yeah. Well, this is why I tell people all the time too. I've been literally all over the world. It's like, this is why people hate Americans. This is why other countries do not like Americans, because we think we can just bend the rules in their countries whenever we want because we're Americans. We act like our shit doesn't stink, and like when we went to, oh man, what's it, not Dubai, Singapore. We went to Singapore. They're really strict on, hey, don't chew gum, because if you chew gum, they spit it and you can get caned. Now, how stupid.
Remember the dude that got caned back in the day?
Yeah. But see, look how crazy of a story that is. Would people be sympathetic in America if a soldier or a military member got caned because they were chewing gum? Probably not. But hey, she's a famous person who broke the rules in a foreign country. How about you just have respect for the country you're in? Like, I know it's a stupid law, probably, just like chewing gum and spitting it on the ground's
right.
Stupid, but respect it.
Didn't she even go over there for business purposes? So she was getting paid by them. Don't you think you should go ahead and just follow their shit?
Yeah. It's not that hard. That's why my sympathy, like, I feel bad. That sucks. That's a shitty situation.
I'm sure it's definitely shitty, and her personal living situation is absolutely horrendous. But if the situation was reversed and that was me, nobody would have heard about it.
Hey, if you want to be honest, so nobody heard about the folks that got left in the Middle East or anything either. Right. Hey, we pulled out of there. We left a bunch of shit and people. It's like, and dogs, military dogs and stuff. Nobody talks about any of that stuff. It's just a little brush under the rug. But I mean, it's self-inflicted. At the end of the day, that's where my sympathy ends. It's like, it was self-inflicted. You just got to know not to do stupid shit.
And if you do, just accept you did it.
That's a funny thing.
Like, man, I've gotten in trouble plenty of times.
Yeah,
and you take it.
Exactly.
Like, no president's helped me out when stuff's happened. When because when I signed up right up after 9/11, and they had this program for a really short amount of time, which was Yankee White. And it was supposed to be 2 years infantry, 2 years presidential guard duty at Camp David. And signed that because that sounded freaking dope as hell. Like, that sounded awesome. And I signed all the paperwork. They did the FBI background check beforehand. Like, they did all that stuff. And I go to boot camp. It's about 3 weeks left, and we go to the security battalion. And it was just at the time where the Marines roll their sleeves up. And I go in there knowing all my stuff's done. All my paperwork's like legit done. And the moment I walked in, the guy looked at me. He's like, okay, you're disqualified. You can go back. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And the time that I was literally in boot camp, they changed the statement of understanding from a 1-page to a 3-page. And like the second to last question is tattoos below the Charlie line. And I had a tattoo. I got the waiver. Everything was kosher. FBI background check, like I said, was done. Walked in. They're like, okay, you're disqualified. From that moment on, I never signed anything ever again. I just landed in Motor T. But until I actually got to my unit, I kept on popping up UA all the time because my paperwork was so jacked up that when I went to MCT, which is like a mini version of infantry school for like people that aren't going to go be a grunt and stuff like that, it's just a 30-day little like, hey, this is the range of fire. Like we didn't have to like memorize it. It was just like drop knowledge type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you go to your MOS school afterwards. And so went to MCT and got my like hours to take care of my paperwork because they were saying I was supposed to report to School of Infantry a week beforehand. And I'm like, and I have all the paperwork and everything. I'm like, and at that moment, you're still in that scared like boot camp phase where you don't want to like do anything to disappoint. And so I'm like, no, sir, like here's my like letter and all this stuff. And then got to my MOS school in Fort Leonard Wood. And they're like, yeah, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, this is where you guys told me to go. Like, I'm just literally just following what you're telling me still. Then I got to the fleet. And when I check into Pendleton, they can't find anything on me because I wasn't even supposed to be there.
What the hell?
Yeah. So I never even signed up to be Motor T, but that worked out beautifully because shit, I didn't have to walk anywhere, man. I just drove places. That was so much easier than what I was gonna be. Like it all worked out, but like, yeah, my like stuff like that just got so jacked up to where I was getting in trouble for not doing anything.
Yeah, it's military is interesting like that. Like, because they changed my rate got changed when I was in. I think I was in boot camp. I initially wanted, they call them ABH, where you see them on the flight deck. They are kind of directing planes and stuff like that, or aircraft. I wanted to do that, so I was like, okay. I signed up to join Navy to do that, but I ended up going. They switched it to ABF, which is fuels, which ended up turning out to be. I mean, can't complain now. I mean, it worked out really well. Met a lot of my best friends through going or becoming an ABF and stuff. But military is just weird, man. Like, I had a bunch of friends that went on. God, was it the Reagan or Stennis? I can't remember what ship it was, but I think I've talked about before. They when the tsunami hit Japan and all that nuclear waste was going into the ocean, and they had to sign all these crazy waivers because they're getting exposed to all this radiation. And like my best friend went, and he was telling me they'd make him like, you'd be on the flight deck, you'd come down, they'd basically strip you butt naked and like hose you down or clean you off and check you for radiation, all this stuff. When the guys told me when he got back to the ship that like this is a story I'll never forget. He said he kicked a seagull and it like blew up and like all this green stuff started to come out of it. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You know, like, but of course the military made them sign whatever waiver or basically sign their life away. That's what I always tell people, more like twice, because you obviously sign up to join us, kind of like signing your life away. But I mean, that's fuck, man. Military is some crazy shit. Like it's organized and unorganized, and that just feels like such a janky thing to do to folks. But you know, it's like, hey, you know, thank you for helping us over here, but if you get any type of residual cancers or exposure to anything that manifests into something else later,
I'm what happened to those Russian soldiers that went to Chernobyl and everything and were like camping out in like the fields. Like I want to see what kind of mutant arms that happens to grow out of their bodies, because that's going to be nuts, dude. I don't understand why that was part of the equation at all. Like, I'd just be like, if I were to ever declare war against Ukraine, like, I'd be like, except for like that area, I'll let you keep that. Like, why would you? And then have the guys just sleeping on that.
Like, haven't you seen The Hills Have Eyes? Those dudes end up becoming hella strong and stuff, man. You gotta be careful.
Man, I thought something bad was going to happen when they did that. I was like, dude, you might have went too hard, homie.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, man. Like, that's what I don't know. Like you're saying, military is just a trip, though. It really is. Like the things that, because they own you in a sense, so you can't really make too much of your own decisions up. I mean, you kind of can, but ultimately, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever. Like tattoos, even now they've loosened up on tattoos. Like you were saying, though, they were pretty strict. Like I got all my tattoos when I was in the Navy, but
yeah, they were on your forearm. When I was in, it wasn't that bad, but then they were really, really locking down on what you could get. But I guess now with I guess their recruiting numbers are just abysmal, and they're like letting non-GED guys in now, and like, yeah, there's some like new standards that are like, as long if you're trying, if you want to come on in, we'll let you.
Well, crap, and like Tim Kennedy had posted the thing I posted yesterday, or I shared it, how they're cutting the pay for the Army too. I wonder if that has any effect or people on numbers of folks that are actually wanting to join, because it's like you already don't get paid a lot. Let's be honest. Like military, if anybody thinks you get paid a lot in the military, you don't. So it's like you already.
Officers make bank, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you ever really looked at that? Like a 6-year first lieutenant, I think, makes roughly like what a 20-year like master sergeant makes.
Oh, that's jacked up.
Yeah, like I think it's like right along those lines and stuff like that.
And yeah, see, that's fudged up. I'm not surprised, but I can see that being the case. I mean, some people make bank because they have like families and stuff too, so they get like separation pay and BAH and stuff like that when they're in. But man, you get screwed already. And I imagine the Army, I don't know how the Army is in a sense, but fuck that, man. If I knew I was going to get paid less than what I was getting paid, I think I was getting like maybe $700 every, was it the 1st and 15th or whatever it was?
Yeah,
even less than that, probably around $500. And then they're going to cut that. I'd be like, screw this, dude. I'm not joining the freaking Army. I'm not sure if it's going to trickle into other branches, but damn, it's like,
yeah, it's nuts, man.
That part blows. You know, I feel for those dudes because, I mean, wherever they're at, I'm sure there's still some out in the Middle East somewhere, and wherever they're stationed doing whatever the hell they're doing. So that would blow, especially about families, because that was like that ended up becoming kind of a thing when I was still in the Navy. I think I was up in Washington at the time. They were, and there was like a lockout or something, or some type of deal like that, where government employees weren't getting paid. It's when Obama was president. I can't remember what the hell that happened, but like all the yard workers that would work on our ship just stopped coming in because they weren't getting paid.
Wow.
And like military folks are freaking out to have families because they're like, well, shit, if I don't get paid, how the hell am I going to support my family? But it's crazy, man. I feel military always gets like the short end of the stick, I feel bad for that when it comes to shit like that, different deals and bills that get struck down. But now you can grow a beard, I think, and not get written up. So
they let you do that now?
I think so. I swear I read something where it said Navy, at least in the Navy, they've lightened up on the beard.
Man.
Which is like great. I wish that was the case when I was in. I'd get hit up all the time.
3 times a day, man.
It got to a point where, because when you go to a foreign country, they have like the khaki rows where all the chiefs and officers, they like inspect you when you're walking off the ship. I would shave, and then they'd be like, "Oh, shipmate, you got facial hair." I'm like, dude, I wouldn't say dude, obviously, but like, it's like, fuck, I just shaved. So like after like the third country, I just started carrying just the tip of the head of the razor in my pocket, and I'd be walking down, dry shaving. I'm like, dude, like, come on, I'm trying to get off the ship, man.
Right. I remember like when we did any type of like ball photos or anything like that, like even though I shaved in the morning, like I still had to shave right before we did any kind of like pictures because man, dude, it just comes in hard.
It does.
So
for me, it doesn't do it much now, which is kind of where it's slowing down a little bit. But man, like that 18, that time I was in, that shit was just like sprouting up. I swear, I same deal. Like I'd have to be a two-day shaver, 2 times a day, just to not get reamed by anybody. That's the worst, especially if you get caught sleeping and you have a 5 o'clock shadow at the same time. It's like, fuck, man, I'm breaking all kinds of rules. My boots aren't shined. They're spit shined. I got a 5 o'clock shadow. I'm sleeping. It's like, damn, I'm just getting killed.
that was another thing. The spit shining, dude, that was getting phased out like right after I got in. I know we did it in boot camp. But then even our camis went from needing to be pressed and, hard creases. We got the new digital ones that were meant to just be a lot more relaxed. And that was really nice. Just overall not having to pay to go to the laundry all the time. The dry cleaners, man. That's a scam to get into outside a military base is dry cleaning.
Yeah, that's kind of a bitch to do. I mean, that's what happened in the Navy. Like when I first joined, I want to say like I think it was the last year when I was in is when they got those camis that you see now, the digital ones, which kind of sucked. I didn't like them in the sense that I liked having a pressed pants and shirt because, especially when it came to like just presentation, it's like, okay, I'm not a shit bag, like look at my uniform. It's freaking pressed. It looks hella good. It's all starched up. Man, you starch the shit out of that thing. Just and now it's like, now everybody looks the same. So now if somebody is a lazy person that never really put the time in their uniform, now we all look the same. It's like I didn't like that part. I liked having a really crisp looking uniform. And then there's the times where you fuck up when you're ironing it and you get the train tracks going up. It's like, oh, God, that's the worst because try getting that shit out, man.
Yeah. Yep. One thing that I had a buddy show me that would help me out a little bit is actually flipping it inside out and ironing it that way. Dude, like he showed me that, and that saved a lot of time for like our Class A like undershirts and like our long sleeve shirts. Because man, I remember like visibly getting frustratedly pissed because of all the buttons on our shirts and stuff like that, like having to go around them and everything. And he's just laughing at me, flips his over so all the buttons are face down onto the pad, and he just grinded right over everything. I was like, that's brilliant.
I mean, military, for those who don't know, it's like the actual where the buttons are too, that needs to be like flat. What they call it, bacon. You don't want to have bacon, is what they'd call it. Like that thing needs to be, the whole button row needs to be just flush, like perfectly straight also. And it's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, there's some things I've taken away that I still do, like with my belt, if I wear a belt, I still have it. My freaking gig line. I'll have a regular shirt on. I'm like, okay, I got to match it up with my pants.
There is a small chance you will get called out one day by some former military guy. You got to make sure that it's on.
Got to make sure that gig line is perfectly straight. That's like the one thing that's really stuck with me. Every time I wear a belt, I triple check it sometimes, or like even when we go to weddings or anything where we have to dress up, man, make sure that thing is just
right on point,
crisp as hell. And then I still have my boot straps for my shirt, so I put those on to my socks, keep the
collar stays so they stay nice and flat. They don't bubble up.
All the stupid stuff. I mean, it kind of, I guess it's not too stupid. It looks nice when you wear it now, but the time, I was like, that's just tedious work to do. So, but damn, yeah, it's already been 2 hours, so I don't want to take up your entire day.
Yeah, you got that freedom going on right now, man. So I want you to enjoy it too. But thank you so much for hooking up and talking.
I know you're my first repeat person, man. So it'll be nice. We gotta keep it going every so often. Have you come back on and shoot
I'd
the
love
shit.
it, man. I have a blast talking with you, man. This was a fun session.
Yeah, this was fun. So, and then whatever comes up down the road, maybe we could do another one in a couple months again and see what.
Well, one of the things I'm going to try to do is I know it's a little bit of a distance, and if I'm remembering correctly, like you live basically where is it like the 60 and the 10 split? Is that where you live out in Beaumont? Like by okay, yeah, I'm trying to like visually remember where you're at and everything. I know it's a drive, but like I said, I'm trying to set up that ribbon cutting ceremony, and I'm getting the VFW involved, and I'm getting a whole bunch of people involved with it. But if you think you could do a remote location one, because I'm going to do it November 10th, which is the Marine Corps birthday, that's when I'm going to set up the date for the ribbon cutting. Okay. So it's right before Veterans Day. There's going to be a ton of veterans there. So, I mean, I know it's a drive, but, just putting that out there in case that's something that sparks your interest.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I've driven to Arizona a few times, so I might see what I can do even in that sense. That would be cool. Because it's about a 4-hour drive.
A whole entire guest house, man, like a complete separate guest house that you could use, so you don't need to find anything.
All right. Hell yeah. I mean, we got friends out there too, so that'd be cool. Yeah, I might talk to the wife and see what I can do. Yeah, 4-hour. It's about a 4-hour drive, roughly. If I'm driving by myself, it's going to be like a 3.5-hour drive. Right.
Casino though, man, I get all amped up when I pass Casino Morongo. I get that song in my head. We'll see it in the distance coming in from Palm Desert, and we'll be like, bum, 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 bum. And like that like gives us a little energy boost, knowing that we're getting back to civilization again.
Oh, because man, it's a drive. For those who don't know, my God, that it's on the 10, and that drive, it's 2 lanes. It's a freaking. It's a short drive, realistically. Yeah, it's about 4 hours to Arizona. But God, it's just the drive itself is just there's nothing.
You got the 2 big, huge level changes in altitude. So if you get stuck behind like that fleet of trucks going into Arizona, man, you're struggling for at least 15 miles going up like right past Coachella and stuff like that.
And sometimes they take up both lanes, and you're just F. That's when it's like it really sinks in. Like, okay, dude, this is going to be like a 5-hour drive now. If this big rig just cruises in the or I guess you'd say the fast lane, there's only 2 lanes. But it's like that shit sucks. I don't mind it by myself. I don't mind driving by myself. I actually find it kind of soothing. But yeah, I'll see what I can do. If anything, I'll do a remote thing, and then same thing for me. Further down the line, I want to do that Veterans Day week, I guess. I want to have like a Veterans Day week and try to get maybe an episode or 2 with a bunch of different people on all at once, different folks like yourself, and maybe like 3 other people, and we can all be on one big.
That would be super cool, man. That would be super cool.
One big crazy ass show. I'm sure it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm totally down. I'm gonna try and send you a couple more of my buddies and see if they want to come on, because man, I think that they got some just real fun stories to talk about. So I'm gonna send them all your stuff today.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Now, everybody, go check out Lower22Vets. Man, I should have flipped the picture on that screen in the background. Yeah, but go check it out. Google Play, Apple Store, download it. If you sign up, the July giveaway is still available. Freaking, you can win a fucking shotgun. So that's badass. For any of those who are gun enthusiasts or want to become one, there you go. I mean, what a way to start. Shit, don't even have to pay for it. You get it for free.
Right on.
So, cool. Thank you, Adam.
All right. Thanks, Travis.
Keep going.